Hi fellow crafters. If you have lots of leftover pieces of designer series paper lying around, and I'm pretty sure you do, then today I have the perfect sunburst technique to show you. I will be using some leftover pieces of Countryside designer series paper for my card. Shall we get started? If this is the first time that you're visiting my channel, hi, I'm Terri from nutsaboutsstamping.com. I love sharing techniques and project ideas for rubber stamping, paper crafting, and scrapbooking with you each week. Be sure to hit that red subscribe button and the bell beside it so that you'll be the first to be notified when my next video goes live. Speaking of videos, be sure to watch all the way through this video for my bonus tips and design ideas. And if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator yet, I would love for you to choose me. I'll link to my online stores in the description box under this video. Now I can't wait to show you this awesome technique. I chose the Countryside Inn designs for my card because I love the patterns that were inspired by fine china and wallpaper patterns. This paper includes florals, woodland, animals, nature, and ceramic designs. And on the back side, you get some more muted patterns, which makes this perfect for today's technique. I also love that the main colors are blue and white, making this technique so easy to coordinate. To create the paper strips for the Starburst pattern, you're going to need your paper trimmer, and then you're going to gather all your leftover pieces of designer series paper. You can determine how wide you want your strips to be. I would say between 1 inch or 2 inches, which is like 2.5 to 5 centimeters. For this technique today, I decided that all of my paper strips were going to be 1 inch wide or 2.5 centimeters, which means you're going to need more strips. So I've cut the length at 1 inch, and then I'm going to turn it, and I think maybe 4.5 or 5, which is like 12.5 or 10 centimeters. So you're going to end up with strips that are at least as wide as the paper layer that we're going to be adhering it to. And I'll show you that in a minute. Now, once you've got your strips cut, then you want to come back to your paper trimmer and you want to line up the point of the top right to the point of the bottom left. So you're going to, in essence, create a wedge cut. Now, these don't have to be perfect. Nobody's going to notice if they're not, trust me. So you're going to end up with several paper strips from several of the designs of the designer series paper that you chose for your Starburst. Now I'm going to show you how you're going to use these strips, and I've gone ahead and cut all of mine. As you can see, I need a lot because my original width was quite narrow. So you can play with this technique and make it wider or the same width as mine. I wouldn't go much narrower, but I suppose that's up to you, isn't it? Now I'll show you how to attach these pieces to create the Starburst. I've decided that my layer that all the paper strips are going to be adhered to is going to be basic white, but obviously you can choose the color that you want for your base. And then what you want to do is you want to start off with one of your strips, and I'm going to put mine about the midway point, and I'm just eyeballing it. This is not perfect, doesn't have to be. And then what you're going to do is you're going to alternate above and below. So eventually I will adhere this down, and then my next strip will be like that. And you want to leave a little bit of the base color peeking through. And then I'm going to do something like this. And all of these should sort of come to a focal point. I guess you make up what that focal point is going to be. And then I think I'll do this one next, and so on. So you're going to lay above and below until you have the entire layer covered. And then what you're going to do is take some multi-purpose liquid glue and you're going to adhere all of these strips down to this layer. I hope that was clear. I'm going to stop the video and I am going to now adhere all of my strips down, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Back in a moment. And there we go. It looks quite funny, doesn't it? But what you want to do then is, after it's dried, mine's not quite dry yet, but it will be soon, you want to turn it over, and then what you want to do is take your paper snips and you want to trim off all of the bits that are overhanging so that you end up with a nice clean starburst design on this layer. So I'm going to let mine dry for a few more minutes and then I'll come back, trim it, and I'll show you what we do next. Now, isn't that gorgeous? I just love this blue and white design. Now what I want to do is I want to take this layer and I'm going to attach it to my card base, which I've decided is going to be Misty Moonlight. Misty Moonlight is one of the colors in the designer series paper. So I'm going to take my multi-purpose liquid glue and I'm going to adhere that down next. Now, because I want the Starburst pattern on this card to be the feature on the card, I'm going to keep the rest of the elements quite simple. I've decided I'm going to use a phrase from the Something Fancy stamp set, and I'm going to stamp it down onto this scrap piece of basic white using my Misty Moonlight ink. And then in the corresponding pack of dies, the Something Fancy die pack, there's this die, and I'm going to use it to die cut out the phrase. Now, I'm going to attach my phrase right in the middle of the card because I think that this edge is quite beautiful and I don't want to lose it by covering it up with this phrase layer, which was actually my original intention. So I'm going to use 3 Stampin' Dimensionals, and then I'm going to adhere this layer to the card. And then it is time to talk embellishments. And again, I want to keep it nice and simple, so I'm going to use some of my Iridescent Pearls Basic Jewels to add a little bit of bling, but subtle bling, to this card. Would you like to see another card idea using the Countryside Inn Designer Series paper? If you would, then why not watch this video next? And my card is done. If you would like a complete listing of the supplies that I used and the measurements for all of the layers, I will link to my blog article in the description box under this video. You can link over to my blog, you can get all the information you need. I'll also include the product ordering numbers in case you want to order the Countryside Inn Designer Series paper to try this Starburst technique at home. I'm Terry, I am nuts about stamping. I'll see you at the next video. Bye for now.